Howdy folks, welcome to CIS 2454 for winter of 2024. It's a lot of numbers there, sorry. I'm Eric, nice to meet you. I'll be your instructor this semester. I'm usually the only one who teaches this class, so I'll probably be your instructor every semester. Anyway, sorry. This is me, Eric Chinesky. This is my OCC email address. You can email me here anytime. This is my cell phone number. I do have a phone on campus, but I'm not on campus very often, but I have my cell phone with me all the time. So just use my cell phone number. That's way easier. And feel free to text if you like texting as well. That's great. I've got set office hours if you want to hang out. I do ask that you schedule them though, so I can make sure I've got the time reserved for you. But Mondays 1:30 to 2:30, Wednesdays 3 to 4, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night from 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. But please note these are PM times, not AM times here for these. I'm not much of a morning person, and I find most folks who have lives are busy during the day, and more often than not can meet later in the evenings, those sorts of things. So that tends to work out pretty well for people. There's this cool link here. This website is called Calendly. It'll take you to my page. You can click on any one of the days and see what times are available. This lets you make sure you reserve that 15-minute slot to chat with me. Happy to help talk about whatever's going on, or you just want to talk nerd stuff. I'm always happy to chat as well. But my goal is to make sure that things work for you. Right? We're not meeting every week in person, so if things aren't going well for you, I don't ever really see that puzzled look on your face. So you got to let me know if things aren't working and what I can do to help. And then typically people like to meet on Zoom. If you'd like to meet in person on campus and drive out to the Orchard Ridge campus, we can arrange that. But let me know that ahead of time. Almost everyone just wants to save the drive and meet on Zoom. So Zoom's been pretty well. We can do screen sharing sessions. So that's my Zoom room and the password here as well. We actually have two sections of this class here. It was enough of a wait list. They said, hey, we should add another one. So we've got two different sections. We're doing the exact same thing together, so it should be fine. We don't meet, right? It is online asynchronous. That we do have deadlines, but we don't have a regular meeting. So the cadence is every week we do something, right? And ideally we're working from 8 a.m. Thursday morning until 7:59 a.m. the next Thursday morning. For some reason, someone at one point thought that Mondays would be a good time for all of our online classes to start. But if you're working on something that's due either like Sunday night or Monday morning, and you have questions about it, that leaves you the weekend. And I'm around and I'll still try and answer questions when I can, over the weekend, but I don't have as much time set aside where you can make an appointment with me and talk about stuff going on. So I try never to have stuff due Mondays. So Thursdays work out pretty well for that. So you can get stuff started, chat with me if you want to chat early in the week. And then if you have free time over the weekend because you work during the week, great. You can work on stuff over the weekend, meet with me during the week and see what's going on, and we can go from there. The course catalog, this is a boring copy paste. Hopefully you already read that before you sign up for the class. The prerequisites have been some coding class 1500 or 2151 in Java, which is weird. It's or because 2151 has a prereq of 1500 itself. That one's always kind of confused me a little bit, so I don't know. Some of the outcomes here, we do look at these particular things should be taught at some point. So general education outcomes are taught in all OCC classes, and then common course outcomes are specific to the course. So one of the things you learn how to do in programming is apply knowledge to the assigned task. This is a pretty easy critical thinking skill here to talk about in programming. It's not necessarily easy to do, but in the process of writing software, you have to apply critical thinking. You have to take all the things you know, all the tools and techniques and cool things we can do with languages to solve problems, right, to the particular task we've been assigned. So critical thinking is huge when it comes to programming. So the other common course outcomes are things we'll get into throughout the semester. If I talk through them all now, they probably don't make a lot of sense because we haven't got there yet, but we'll get into all of these things, which is lots of fun. So we've got two different textbooks because we do both PHP and JSP, or Java Servlets and JSP. It's a little bit interesting, but it's kind of fun to see the same sort of things being done in two different languages. So the first book we'll start with is the PHP and MySQL book here. If you've not taken the database class, like Intro to Database Systems is 1200 or something, I help you through all the database stuff. It's not the end of the world. If you have taken it, great. It'll make more sense, but it's not necessarily required. And then in the second half of the semester, we'll switch over to Java Servlets and JSP. This one's a little bit older. It's not too big of a deal. All the tech is still the same. We're not really using any of the new bells and whistles anyway. And because it's older, it's cheaper anyway, which is nice. So you can get it from the bookstore or your favorite online bookstore, wherever you want to get them from is fine. And then lots of supplemental software. We need all sorts of cool software for this. So GitHub, Discord, and Twitch are public services. use whatever username and handle you want. It doesn't have to be a real name. You'll need a GitHub account. This is how you get all your code to me. GitHub is a hosting provider of the Git source control tool. It's fantastic. They give it away for free for educational use, and I love using it because attaching files to D2L or emailing files is just awful. I like the GitHub desktop client for interacting with Git and GitHub. Other IDEs have integrations. That's fine, but the GitHub desktop's the same no matter what language I teach. It's pretty easy. Discord, either for office hour meetings, we can meet over Discord if you want, or Zoom, or just ask general class questions, hang out there. We've got some other channels, post your memes, ask other students around. I would definitely recommend you join Discord. It's great, and it goes to my phone. I've always got it there if you got questions. I prefer the OpenJDK installs. So you can go download those here. You need the OpenJDK downloaded to install NetBeans, because NetBeans is weird like that. So it's a little bit of a process. We got a video later you can watch to figure out how to get that all installed. If you already have Java installed, go for it. You don't need to use the OpenJDK, but that's just my preference here. I was a little weird when, kind of upset when Oracle went out and licensed it and did all their weird nonsense with Java, but I mean, I guess some people have to make money to support it because it's cool. So NetBeans is our integrated development environment. You can use the latest version here. And then we're also going to use XAMPP. It's a package of software here, which is awesome. So it's going to install a bunch of different things for us. So we can run PHP, we can run MySQL, we can run Apache, and we can run, I'm forgetting what the other letters are for, but that's okay right now. If you don't want to install all that on your own computer, you can use the virtual desktops. So there's a different link for, depending what your operating system is here, to connect to those desktops. The downside, as you probably noticed by now, is that they don't save things. But for us, it's not really the end of the world. We just grab our code off of GitHub, clone the repository, and then we've got the copy we last committed and synced. So it just adds a few more steps there, but then you don't have to deal with the hassle of everything getting installed. Some specific course policies. I am rather particular about plagiarism and cheating. I think cheaters should not get degrees. It just shouldn't happen. And really, it's in your best interest as well to not let your fellow classmates cheat and get degrees, because if they go out to the workforce and don't know what they're doing, the employers are going to say, hey, OCC did a terrible job teaching you. We're not going to hire other people from OCC. And it wasn't necessarily we did a terrible job teaching. It's just we did a bad job catching cheaters, which is, that's a different problem here. So academic dishonesty is serious. If you engage in academic dishonesty, you fail the class. There is no try again. There is no, whatever's going to happen. You just will fail the course, and you get reported to the dean's office. And the deans keep, it's essentially a 3-strike policy list. After 3 occurrences, you're generally no longer invited to be a student at OCC. So if you're not sure, ask me. It's not hard to cite our sources, right? Plagiarism is turning things in and not citing your source. So using someone else's words and ideas and not giving credit to them. To cite sources, we just drop a comment in our code and say, hey, this is where I got this from. It was styled off of this. That being said, Chegg.com is awful. They're getting sued also by Pearson, though, who also is awful. I hope they both lose and go out of business because they're terrible places. But you cannot put anything there. You can't cite answers from there. Just stay off of Chegg and life will be better, or similar websites. You can't go out and pay for a, quote, tutoring service that does your homework for you. Right? That's not tutoring, and that's what Chegg says that they offer, and they're just a bunch of nonsense, and they know they're cheaters, and they make me fill out paperwork and get my dean involved to take my content off of their website, which just upsets me because I hate paperwork. Sites like ChatGPT, this is a fantastic tool. The problem with stuff like ChatGPT is you need to know what it's doing so that you can know if it gave you the right answer or not. Right? ChatGPT and these sort of style tools here are built to be prose machines. They're supposed to give you things that look like real answers or look like real things, but they make it up. So if you ask for something, you might not get a good answer. So you need to know what's happening to be able to use what you're given here to make you a more efficient developer. Right? So citing a tool like ChatGPT, just tell me what prompt you used. Say, hey, here's the OpenAI site I used, or here's this, whatever Llama one here. There's so many nowadays I can't even keep up. What site it was and what your prompt was. That being said, you can't just turn in the entire solution from ChatGPT, right? The bulk of your work has to be original effort, just like an English paper. You can't turn in one giant quote and say, hey, here's my paper, with a single citation of someone else's work, right? You can incorporate other people's ideas, and you can cite the sources properly, but then you're adding original effort to it. So my general rule of thumb here is at least 50%, right? The bulk of your work has to be original effort. You're welcome to use the tools, right? We're going to use them in the workforce. We're going to use them to help us be more efficient, to do the easy things. We still have to do the hard things of putting all the pieces together, making sure they work right here that the tools can't do for us. So, and this is just a copy paste from the college handbook. So again, if you're not sure, just ask me, right? It's super easy, I promise. Student code of conduct, it's a copy paste. All right, well, most people care about the grading policy here. So I like a weighted system. So there are categories for different assignments here that all carry a weight in the final total here. So of all the labs that we do, they make up 10% of your score. Of all the projects, the individual projects, that makes up 30% of your score. Of all the quizzes, that makes up 10% of your score. The midterm is worth 10% of your score. And then the final project is 40% of your score. This is huge. There is no final exam. I'd like to see if you can write working software, not take tests, because tests are not really a good measure of if you can write software or not. So the idea here is you don't pass the class without the final project. That's intentional, right? This is the sum culmination of everything we've done throughout the semester. You put together in a fun little final project, and it should be fun. If you'd like a WS mark because you missed the withdrawal date from the official MyOCC site, I can give them to you. You just need to ask, as long as you haven't presented your final project, right? If you've gone through the entire class and you just failed because you didn't do a good job, I can't give you a withdrawal grade. But if you didn't present your final project to me, you can still withdraw. And that's the best I know is perfectly fine. And I will give those out if anyone asks. The letter grading scale should be standard now here, percent-wise to letters. For NMarks, if you haven't turned in work by the NMark day, then I have to give you an NMark. So I'll go through and send a warning to people who haven't turned anything in. There's something the very first week on the Syllabus Quiz. It's basically free points for going and reading the syllabus or watching this video, essentially. So do that, and then we don't have to worry about the NMark stuff. I don't take things late without prior written approval. Generally, when things are due, I post the solutions because I think showing how I would approach and solve the problem is useful. And then with some of our projects, we sort of build on things here. So I give you, hey, here's my solution base if you'd like to use this for the next phase of the project. So I can't take things late because the solutions are out there. And then other standard policy stuff, this should all be pretty the same. The Academic Support Center is awesome. Check out their tutoring here. This site is fantastic. Tutoring is no additional charge. I don't like to use the word free because it's paid for by your tuition and tax dollars, but you're not charged extra for using it. So do take a look at that. It starts up January 16th this semester. We've got a couple tutors who do know things about this course, which is awesome. We've worked pretty hard to keep them around. So they should be available for you. We don't have the schedule yet, but that should come out soon. For the technical help desk, technical issues, they're not going to help with the software that we use. So if you have software issues, come and ask me. I'm your best source for that. Anything wrong with the D2L website, ask them. But content is all me because this is my content I'm putting on the site here. Other things like don't do stupid things with college resources, netiquette. I'm very informal, but you can't be rude, right? And don't be rude to other people as well, please. The library has great resources. They've got a great database as well with all sorts of cool tech books. It's, oh man, Books 24/7, or I forget what it's called again here. I can send you the link later, but we got all sorts of awesome resources out there at the library as well. And the librarians love to help people too. They're super nice and friendly. Generally, I'll have stuff graded within a week of when it's due. If you checked out my Rate My Professor site, I'm terrible at that. I apologize. I'm working at getting better at getting things scored for you. The good news is, though, you actually score yourself for the projects. I will give you the rubric, and you will tell me, did you accomplish this item on the rubric? I get these points, I get these points, I get these points. So it's sort of known as ungrading or contract grading. There's a couple different terms for it. I've been working through that. So you'll score yourself, and I'll just enter it in the gradebook for you, assuming you didn't just BS the whole thing, right? And almost everyone is really good at this. I very rarely have people tell me they get full points for something and not give me working software because it's really obvious. For response, within 24 hours or less, I should get back to you. Again, everything goes to my phone, right? Whether or not it's Discord or email or phone calls or texts or whatever here. If I don't get back to you, please reach out again. My little guy might have just swiped it when he was watching YouTube videos. So reach out again if you haven't heard from me right away. And then our schedule, right? Again, weeks will start Thursdays at 8 a.m. Everything will be ending the next Thursday, 7:59 a.m. or so. So we'll have 4 projects, project 0, 1, 2, and 3. You'll get 2 weeks on all those projects. So please start early on them. Don't leave them for the last minute. It's hard to help with things when it waits to the last minute. And we'll go through the first part of the PHP book. We skip a little bit of it, and then we pick up the last little bit of PHP. Midwinter break, and we come back for the midterm. I usually try and do this before the break. It just didn't work out well. I'm sorry. But I'll give you last semester's midterm. I rewrite them. They're not meant to be hard at all. It's just a checkpoint here. And again, it's not worth a whole lot of your score. I know 10% is a lot, but It's open book, open notes, open internet. I've never had an employer tell me I have to write code from memory, because that would just be stupid. So I don't expect anyone to take tests from memory, because I don't care if you can memorize it, I care if you can do it. So know where your resources are. And then we'll switch gears and switch over to Java land and go through the JSP book for a while. And then we'll pick up our final project at the end of March. And you'll present them over Zoom live. The presentations are mandatory, but you don't have to come in person. We'll just do Zoom sessions here. So I can have you present your project, show me that it works, talk about your code, and essentially this is my chance to check to make sure people didn't cheat. If you copy pasted everything, when I ask you questions about your project, you say, If you wrote the code yourself and I ask you questions, you're like, oh yeah, this is what I had, this is what I did, this is where it is. So it's really obvious when you do these presentations to find out if you actually did the work or not. And then it also is a good time to chat as well and see how things went. So we'll do that as well. So that's the plan for the semester. I'm looking forward to it. If you've had any questions or concerns, let me know. Always happy to talk. Shoot me questions anytime. The Calendly appointments are for, hey, you want to have a big chunk of time, 15 minutes or so to actually sit and talk, where we can focus, right? Rather than just, hey, I sent an email back and forth, or I sent you a message on Discord or posted something in the class channel. So look forward to hearing from you. You folks take care.